Hey, it's Ashley with the Money Mindset Podcast. And I worked with Adam for 6 weeks one on one inside his podcasting business accelerator program. And in that time, I cannot tell you how he just really helped me refocus and get a clear, actionable strategy for my podcast. Before, I was just doing random interviews and just putting content out there that did not have a funnel or a strategy or any reason behind it. But after working with Adam, I now have a clear strategy to use my podcast to actually make money. And that's what we all want, right? To make some extra money. Thanks, Adam.
What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School. It's the show where I teach podcasters how to love their podcast like a hobby and build it like a business. If you're a service provider that wants to learn how to leverage your podcast to build your online business and get more clients, you are in the right place. And in this episode, we're talking about a big goal that I'm hearing a lot of podcasters talk about: how to put social media and paid ads and paid marketing on the back burner and do something different. And that something different is a system that I've created that I've been using for my entire existence as a podcaster as I figured things out, but I just put a name on it. I'm calling it the Podcast First Marketing System. All right. So I hear from a lot of you that are like, oh, how great would it be if I could just focus on creating awesome content with my show, and just, business is the growth is going to happen. Like, is that possible? And I kind of stumbled backwards into that situation because when I started my first show back in 2015, I didn't know what I was doing business wise at all. I had a brick and mortar business. I'd never done anything online, zero email lists, zero social media following, zero marketing knowledge, zero knowledge of building anything online, courses, programs, having a podcast, growing a podcast. I knew none of it. All right. So I had to figure it all out. And none of the traditional stuff ever really worked for me. Honestly, the way that I felt was like, I somehow need to become famous and rich before I start this online business in order for it to grow, because I need a freaking team, and I need a team of experts to run my Facebook ads for me and all these things, because that seemed like the only way to be successful with what I wanted to accomplish, which was building an online business. I wanted to go full time in this. I wanted to be able to sell my gym. And eventually I figured out a different way to do all that. And I did go full time back in 2019 and sell my gym. And I've been a full time podcaster and online business owner since then. So my goal today is to teach you how to use this podcast first marketing system. I'm going to educate you as to what it is and the 8 core principles of this system. All right. And just before I forget, this whole system is going to be taught, and I'm going to teach you how to apply it directly inside of my brand new online business academy for podcasters. I'm cracking the lid on that thing October 1st. So we're less than a month out, limited spots, 50 total spots. I'm capping it. So if what we talk about today really sounds like something that you could vibe with, it, like, this sounds like me, this sounds like the way I want to operate my online business and with my podcasting strategy, then definitely go and apply for a spot. And the application is kind of first in, first contact. So people that apply, I'm going to hit you up a few days before I open up registration on October 1st. And the first 25 people get a $100 per month locked in discount. You can stay as long as you want with that discount. And then the next 25 will get $50 off per month locked in for the duration that they stay as a member. So all the information is on the website, podcastingbusiness.school. Click on the paid resources button. You'll see the online business academy for podcasters. I'll put the direct link in the episode notes as well. All right. So let's talk about the goal here of today's episode. So the goal with a podcast first marketing system is to build a marketing system where it can primarily focus on creating podcast content and also building our email list so that we can get more clients and build our online business, and kind of put, again, that social media and paid marketing traditional strategies on the back burner and do something a little bit different. The 8 core principles of my podcast first system. Let's dive on in on these. The first thing The first principle is our primary goal. We want our podcast to be the top of our business funnel. All right. So when we think through this podcast first marketing system filter, we want people to start with our show. Ideally, that's with organic discoverability. People find it, they search something, they find our show. But like, let's say I'm speaking on a stage. Yeah, I'll put my website up there and things like that. But I am pushing episodes. Like if I am on a stage like Podfest, then I'm going to teach, 5 tips about podcast growth or whatever. And each one of those tips will have a slide on the screen, and I'll have an episode recommendation on every image on that screen. So 5 tips, 5 episodes. I'm really driving people, hey, take a picture of this with your phone, have my show, Podcasting Business School, open on your podcast player app of choice. So you can just download these episodes real quick. I want them to start binge listening to my content. If I'm on someone else's show, I'm name dropping episodes. If I'm in a social media, I'm doing this a ton on Threads right now, where I'm just diving into other people's questions. They have questions about podcasting. I'm diving in, answering, and going, hey, I'm going to link up to an episode that I want you to check out. Here's your homework from your free coach that just found you on Threads. And so I'm driving to episodes, driving to the show, instead of like driving to my website or driving to my Instagram or social media. I want people to find the show and binge listen first. That's the first core principle of this system. The second principle is that it all starts with optimizing our organic discoverability, optimizing our organic discoverability for our show. It all starts with that. If you do not optimize your show, your podcast for organic discoverability, this won't work. All right. And I dive deep on this principle in episode 449 of this very show, Podcasting Business School. So maybe if you're newer to the show, maybe hit the pause button, go scroll through the feed, download episode 449, and then come right back. But organic discoverability is what happens inside of the podcast player app search bar. So Apple, Spotify, somebody searches something, you want to show up for that search. So for me, podcasting tips, business tips, online business tips, podcast, marketing or something like that. I want to show up for all those words. So somebody types in podcasting tips on Spotify. I want my show to pop up. That's organic discoverability. I didn't pay for that. I didn't have to post on social media for that. I set that up primarily with the name of my show. The name of your show will either be the number one reason why your ideal listeners find you, or the number one reason why they do not find you. So a poorly named show that does not follow my perfect podcast name principle, if it's poorly named, your ideal people, it's just going to be a giant wall between your ideal listeners and you. And that's unfortunate, because that's where I would say 90 to 95% of podcasts are. I preach this in a big way, but when I'm on social media, I'm really active on Threads right now. And I see people, I just launched my show. Here's the name. And it's just some jacked up name that I don't know what it's about. I don't know who it's for. There are no keywords in that sucker. We're getting way too creative, and they just don't understand how important the name of the show is. All right. So I dive deep into this principle, organic discoverability, how to set it up with the name of your show, your podcast host, description, and your episode titles, how to set those up, the verbiage to use in those 3 really, really important categories so that your ideal people can find you. All right. So that's episode 449 again. That's the second principle. It all starts with that organic discoverability. If the name of your show is not optimized, if your host description is not optimized, if your podcast titles are not optimized, might as well not listen to the rest of the episode. If you're like, well, my website is called whatever, or my book is called whatever, and my podcast will also be called that, then don't listen to the rest of the episode, because if you aren't willing to change and optimize for organic discoverability, none of the rest of the stuff is going to work. All right. Tough love from Adam, already in principle number 2. All right, let's look at core principle number 3. Our content is focused on creating expert positioning. This is crucial for this system. We have to position ourselves as the expert in our own brand and on our own podcast. So I want people binge listening to my show, right? That was principle number 1. I want to send all that. That's top of funnel. Find my show, binge listen. If I'm doing interviews and interviewing other people, they are viewed as the expert. A lot of you have interview only shows, and this is a huge problem. You are not viewed as the expert. People will not buy from you if they don't view you as the expert. All right. So this is where my 2/3 content rule comes in. I want 2/3 of your content to feature you as the expert. As you'll notice, if you've been listening to my show for a while, I've done 104 episodes in the last year. 100 of those have featured me as the expert. 4 have been guests. So I'm like 98% rule. So that's how much I believe in this. Like, if somebody's gonna be a guest on my show, it's got to be like a home run. I know you guys really need to meet this person or learn from them. It's something that I don't teach, or it's somebody I really want to be connected to. Otherwise, it's me doing solo episodes like this or coaching episodes on my Friday content. So the 2/3 content rule is really, really, really important. And again, if you're like, well, I'm just going to do interviews, then don't listen to the rest of this episode because it won't work. All right. Like, I know, and I do know, I want to applaud so many of you. You've been applying this principle. When I do my Pod Pals Zoom parties and we do the podcast or speed dating, more than half of you are coming on there going, well, I'm not really doing so many interviews these days because of Adam. I'm like, I totally get it. I support that. I applaud that. So it is definitely getting better. And I know a lot of you love the interviews, but let's just do those 1/3 of the time. And then the other 2/3, let's feature you as the expert. If your goal is to build a business with your show, and if you want to convert over into this podcast first marketing system, this is hugely important. We cannot screw around with our content by featuring only featuring other people. Let's put it that way. All right. Core principle number 4, discovery calls. Some people call these sales calls, discovery calls, whatever you call it. Discovery calls are our main business KPI. A KPI is a key performance indicator. Like, this is the thing. If you don't track anything, I know we all love to track downloads and social media and email list. I'm all about that. But the main KPI for me and for anybody following the system is going to be how many discovery calls are we doing per month. All right. I do them myself. Some people have teams and things like that. I'm not against that. But, I think there's something, I'll just put it this way. I have so many people that decide to become my client, and they'll tell me, hey, I've done 5 discovery calls with 5 other podcast coaches, but half of them, it was a sales team member. I appreciate that you showed up, especially if you're asking for a few $1,000s or $5,000 or $8,000. Like, I feel like I should show up for that conversation and not, delegate it to a VA or a sales team member. I'm excited to work with you all. That's why I show up for the discovery calls. I'm like, I got to see if this is a good fit or not. Whether it's a $97 a month membership, like the Download Growth Club, or doing customized consulting packages for $3,000 to $5,000, I'm showing up because I'm like, hey, let's see if this is a good fit. I'm going to add some value either way. But, I like to show up for those. So that's just my 2 cents. But this is the main thing that we've got to track. I know personally that if I do 15 or more discovery calls per month, business is good. Business is always good. Plenty of money coming in, earning meaningful income, bringing in great new clients, loading my roster with my membership, with my consulting programs, with my signature offer. Business is good if I drive 15 people to sign up for a discovery call and I execute those. All right. Especially with this whole method of podcast first, because these aren't cold leads. These are people that show up and they go, Adam, I've listened to so many of your episodes. I'm excited to talk to you today. Now, if somebody is a discovery call and they're like, well, somebody referred me. And I ask people this when I set up my discovery calls. These are some of the, how did you hear about me? And 9 times out of 10, people are like, well, I listened to the show, Podcasting Business School. Awesome. I know that's going to be an awesome discovery call. And a lot of times we'll be talking about doing business right then and there on the discovery call. Now, if they go, oh, I heard about you from a friend, I know they haven't listened to my show yet. So then it's a whole different ball game. I will take a much slower play And I'm not going to be like, let's, talk business. Let's talk about closing a deal right here. I'll drive them to the show. It starts back at the top of the funnel. I'm like, all right, well, here's some things I need you to work on. With my discovery call, I call it a podcast profit potential discovery call. So I help you all analyze where I think you could be more profitable with your online business via this podcast first marketing strategy. And I'll say, here's what I really need you to focus on. I think you need to apply the 2/3 content rule, or we need to optimize the organic discoverability of your show. And I'll go, there's some different ways we can work together, but first I want you to listen to these 3 episodes. I drive them to the show, then we can follow back up. Because whenever I see somebody that's listened to a ton of my episodes, we do discovery call, the likelihood that we do business is so much greater than somebody that found me from a referral or like a cold lead. All right. So this system warms everybody up in a huge way compared to traditional marketing, where they have no idea who you are, or like we're relying on them going to our website and going on the About Me section and the About Me video and building expert positioning. Would we much rather have somebody come to us for this sales meeting, discovery call, whatever you call it, and they've listened to 15 hours of your content and it's all with expert positioning, and they're like obsessed with you as an expert, and you're their person already positioned in their mind as the person they want to work with? All right. That's the magic of this system. And again, we're tracking that as a main business KPI. Like I track my email list growth, my social media growth, my podcast download growth. But the number one thing that I can say, well, this is going to be a good month if I cross that 15 discovery call per month threshold. That's my threshold. All right. If you guys decide to come on board with my online business academy for podcasters, I'm going to help you figure out your threshold and how to drive and get to there consistently every single month. All right. That's principle number 4. Principle number 5, we are halfway through this, motoring right along. We're going to focus on building and nurturing our email list. Now, we build this in a different way than with traditional marketing methods. All right, we're leveraging our podcast. So imagine this. We optimize our podcast for organic discoverability. So naturally, every day, every episode, every week that you put out content, more people are typing in those search terms. They find your show. Ooh, this looks awesome. Click on it, start binge listening. Then our next goal is to we want to move people down that client conversion pathway that I talked about in last week's episode 507, where we want to turn them from a passive lead into an active lead. And so we'll invite them over to do a lead magnet or a workshop or a coaching style episode or a community style episode, and we're moving them onto our email list. We're building that email list. I feel like every person that's using this strategy, this system, we got to shoot for 1,000 person email list goal or more. That's the first big benchmark. Let's get to 1,000 people on our email list. And we're doing that with a variety of different lead magnets, quick win lead magnets, or, connection-based lead magnets. That's kind of the 2 categories that I teach. But then we're also nurturing that list. It's not, hey, let's promote to the list whenever we got something to promote. I'm a big believer in that weekly newsletter. You guys are on my email list. You've downloaded something. You've interacted with me in some way where you gave up your email as the price of admission. Then you're going to get my weekly newsletter on Thursdays. I've been doing this for years, and I started writing a weekly newsletter when I had 7 people on my email list. But I already envisioned, I think we're at 2,600 or 2,700 right now. Not huge, but growing every single day, every single week, and that's with intent. I'm very excited to reach that 3,000 on the email list. Very excited about that. But I talk to you every week on Thursdays, and I'm teaching, and I'll put some connection opportunities out there. I'll promote if I've got something new to promote, but primarily it's to educate and connect and nurture people that, I want you to want to stick around on that email list. All right. We all get those emails. We're like, oh my God, unsubscribe. This is not good. This is not helping. This is not educational. This is just promotion. We don't want to be that person. So with core principle number 5, we focus on building that list and nurturing it effectively. This is really important. But we build it via people discovering us organically with our podcast, right? Instead of running a ton of ads to lead magnets, which I'm not against, but you don't have to focus on that. Again, on the back burner. It's not non-existent, but we can do that. But that's going on the back burner a little bit compared to what we're doing here with this system. All right, core principle number 6. This is one I'm super proud of. And it took me forever to figure this out. And it took me forever to not feel bad about this one. All right. Core principle number 6. We have a super simple website. I've been embarrassed about my homepage, podcastingbusiness.school, for years. So I see everybody else's, I'm like, oh, they're so well done. And like all this great imagery of them and blogs and cool stuff on there. And there's just, scroll and scroll and scroll. And there's just so much great stuff on there. And it just looks cool. And I never felt that way ever about my website until a few people go, hey, I appreciate the simplicity of your website because it's easy to figure out where I needed to go and what I needed to get done. And I was like, and this is like a couple of years ago. I was like, oh, really? That's interesting. So I started kind of giving myself some slack and some grace with my website. So I stopped beating myself up on the simplicity and going, maybe this is a part of the superpower of what it is that I'm doing. And this, honestly, the last few weeks, I've leaned into this even harder. So if you haven't been to my website in like the last week, the last 10 days, I've simplified it even further. So this, when you go to my website, podcastingbusiness.school, you feel free to pause and just go over there and look at it so you kind of see what I'm talking about here. There are 3 components. I put up an explainer video at the top. That's the first thing that you see. 4 minutes or less. I think it's like 4:07, something like that. I talk about who I help and how I help them. All right. Who I help, how I help them. 4 minutes. All right. Pops up. You can see it. Plays well on the phone. Check it out. Then underneath that, there are 3 buttons. These are the only 3 buttons on my website. One says freebies. The other one says paid services. The other one says discovery call. All right. Then underneath that, boatload of testimonials. That's it. That's my website. And so that explainer video, you know exactly who I help. Are you that person? Here's how I help them. Here are different ways that I can help you out. 3 buttons. Do you want freebie help? Do you want paid service help? Or do you want to hop on a discovery call to help figure it all out? And then here are all the people that have worked with me. Here's a whole bunch of them. All right. Super simple website. I've been doing discovery calls since I updated, and people are like, this was great. The video was awesome. It was super easy to figure out which option I needed, which one was for me. And like, I don't want to call it wasting space or wasting energy, but like, I don't have a big about me. I took all the blog stuff off of there. I don't even have a podcast link on there, hashtag mind blown. But I'm assuming that everybody has already, like, you're bouncing from the podcast to my website, not vice versa. I've never, ever, ever had a client sign up and go, I found you because of your website. Ever. All right. So instead of seeing that as a weakness, I'm like, I'm just not doing this the same way that other people are doing it. I'm just approaching this in a different way. And that's where I came up with the name Podcast First. I don't want people to go to my website first. I want them to go to my podcast first, because everything else is impacted in a positive way if they do that. If that's top of funnel, they aren't searching a thing and my SEO on my website pulls me up and like, oh, this is the guy I need to work with. That doesn't happen because I'm not good at that. All right. And that's where I would feel really intimidated and feel like, man, I need a team. I need to have a lot of capital to figure this out. And I just didn't have the time, or, back in the day, I didn't have the finances to be able to do that. So the super simple website strategy, it just feels, now that I've accepted it, it just feels good. I quit beating myself up about it. I quit worrying about it. I'm just like, okay, let's view this from the standpoint of they've binge listened to 10 of my episodes. And then they hear these CTAs, go to podcastingbusiness.school, go to podcasting, over and over and over again, go to podcastingbusiness.school. I say it all the time. Then they go there as a next step. Let's make it super easy for them to figure out what that next step is. So that's why I was like, explainer video. Who do I help? How do I help them? 4 minutes or less. That's easily done. The 3 buttons, they can explore the freebies. They can explore the paid services that I talked about in the video, or they can hop on for a discovery call and I will help them figure out what their next step is. And then expert positioning, tons of testimonials. I feel great about that. Again, go to the website, check it out, podcastingbusiness.school, look at it, use it. implement it on your own website. All right. Core principle number 7, rounding the final turn here. Social media. All right. We do put effort into social media, but it's for expert positioning, connecting with our audience, and lead generation. And we do that again with a podcast first mentality. And we go, all right, on social media, like for me, expert positioning, I've been dropping these face to camera 60-second tip videos. They're just kind of brand awareness. I'm just dropping either a podcasting tip or an online business tip or a little bit of both. And 60 seconds, drive to the show. Again, hey, I end every single one of those. If you want more podcasting tips like this, or if you want more online business tips like this, check out my show, Podcasting Business School, wherever you enjoy your podcast. So I don't market a specific episode with those. It's just me showing off who I am as an expert. And I post those everywhere. All right. Connecting with our audience. So live streaming, again, threads. I'm just diving into conversations, connecting with people. I can't tell you, I spend 15 minutes a day in the morning while I drink my cold brew coffee. I had a really dumb 44-year-old guy experience last week. I injured myself. I was working out like I was 24, and I just wrecked my right calf. So now my routine in the morning is I drink my cold brew coffee. I do red light and ice therapy on my right leg. And then I go on Threads, and I don't post on Threads during that time. Usually I jump into other people's conversations, and I just interact and coach and show off what I do, drop tips, and refer a lot of episodes with direct links. And I just do that for 15 minutes. I stir it up, and great things are happening on the other end of that. So social media is for expert positioning, connecting with our audience, and lead generation. But again, it's lead generation by going, somebody says, oh, I just launched my, this is a very common experience on Threads, especially. I'm getting ready to launch my show. For any podcasters out there, what tip would you give yourself before, if you knew then what you knew now? Okay. I'll dive in there and I'll go something like, hey, congrats on launching your show. I wish I knew how important the name of my show was when I first launched. Check out episode 449. Here's the link. I have a full episode on this strategy. It'll really help you out before you launch. And there's probably 5 or 10 of those every single morning. I almost just copy and paste the whole message and just go paste, paste, paste. I just help that person out a ton. Now they don't have to pay me, 50 episodes in to rebrand their show for them. So that's lead generation. Bringing them over from social media into our show is lead generation. All right. It doesn't have to go like, oh, this is a lead magnet, or oh, this is a discovery call. With this system, it's podcast first. Refer to the show. The show refers to our email list. And then, they're easily able to find us with discovery calls and things like that. All right. Core principle, final core principle, number 8. I'm sure I'll do an episode on this whole topic again within the next year or so. And there may be 10 or 12 principles by then, but this is just kind of, I sat and I thought out all my notes of like, what are the main 8 things that I'm focusing on here with this strategy? The last one is we do content campaigns for new offers and lead magnets. So currently I'm in a content campaign that's like 6 weeks for the Online Business Academy for Podcasters. So this is a totally new offer. It's launching on October 1st. So I've had to educate you all on topics that will be taught at a deeper level inside the Online Business Academy. And I'm doing content that is related to online business, right? And I'm stirring that up and showing off what I can do. So this whole system, this podcast first marketing system, like that's what I'm teaching inside the Online Business Academy. I'm taking you by the hand and I'm helping you with every single step to optimize it, to make this thing work for you. So we've got a content campaign. All my testimonials are business-based testimonials that you're going to be hearing. All right. So you're not going to hear like download growth testimonials during this campaign. It's all people that did my signature offer. I'm helping them get clients or helping them build out lead magnets or whatever. All right. So all that is in alignment. And that's one of the things I love to teach people how to do with this system is like, we got to align your testimonials, your content, with the thing that you're promoting, whether that's a free lead magnet, you've got a new lead magnet that you want to put out there. You got a new scorecard. Maybe we'll put together a 3-week content campaign for that. All right, we'll align the content, the testimonials, and the call to action. Now, when we're not in a campaign, we drive with a discovery call to action. That's kind of like a bonus principle. So right now, I'm in a content campaign for the Online Business Academy for Podcasters. When I exit that, I'll drive to a discovery call with my one CTA on the show. All right. Now, I hope that this has been helpful to you. It's been a meaty episode. This is a newer concept, but I know that so many of you have that dream of, man, I'm feeling so burnt out on social media. I mean, I hear this 20 times a day and I feel it myself. I'm like, oh my God, if I post another Instagram reel that took me 45 minutes to make, find the freaking B-roll of me like doing the dishes or something and put text over it, and 4 people like it and no comments, I'm like, this sucks. So I know that so many of you are just dreaming of, can I just produce awesome content with my show, primarily focus on that, and the business building, the lead generation, the email list building, all of it peels off of that more naturally than banging my head against the wall with social media and or paying a bunch of money for traditional paid marketing methods. And I do think there is a way to do this. I do think it's called my podcast first marketing system, and I'd love to teach it to you past this in my Online Business Academy. So if this is vibing with you, I'll put the application link in the show notes. Hit that, get on the application list, and we'll help you get this all dialed in together. Now, speaking of content campaigns, I'm experimenting a little bit with my Friday episodes over the next few Fridays. I'd love your feedback on that. So the next couple of Fridays won't be podcast audits. I'm not, getting rid of those at all. I've got lots of those on the schedule still. But I put out a call to action on my email list. I said, hey, here's my SpeakPipe link. I would love an audio clip of your number one online business question. So I had several of you submit those, and I'm going to be answering those over the next couple of Fridays. So if you submitted a question, then you will hear that being answered over the next couple of Fridays. And I would like to continue doing those. So you guys can, I'll put a link on the Friday episode. So if you traditionally don't listen to Friday's podcast audits, which I know a lot of you do listen to those, I appreciate that. But if you're like normally like, oh, not my jam for whatever reason, the next couple of Fridays will be different. And we'll have an audio clip with a question, online business question. I'll be answering those. So check it out. All right, Pod Pals, I appreciate you for tuning in over the last 32 minutes and 5 seconds. I really believe in this system. It has been a game changer for me, especially since I just accepted it. I'm like, this is just the way that I operate. It's not the traditional method, but this works for me. I figured it out on my own over 5 years of putting this all together. But now that I've accepted it, I'm like, this is just how I operate. I have to quit trying to shove my goals into like a square peg in a round hole. Like traditional marketing and paid marketing and even social media marketing, it's not what I'm great at. It's not my jam. I'm great at podcasting. I'm great at expert positioning and leveraging my show to build my online business. And that's what I'm teaching with the system. All right. I appreciate you, Pod Pals. I'll send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We'll see you next time. Breaking news, Pod Pals. My Online Business Academy for Podcasters will be launching on Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. This is the only online business academy just for podcasters that want to leverage their show to build an online business and get more clients. If you're interested in earning meaningful income every month with a podcast-first marketing strategy, this membership is for you. And this membership offer is backed by my $5,000 guarantee. I'm guaranteeing that you will gain at least $5,000 in new revenue and new clients within your first 12 months of being in the academy. And if you don't, I'm going to keep coaching you within the academy for free until you do. I'm capping the membership at 50 total podcasters, and the membership price goes up after the first 20 podcasters sign up. Use the link in the show notes or head on over to www.podcastingbusiness.school to get on the waitlist to join. You'll have the first chance to grab one of those 50 roster spots and get the best pricing. Everything's launching on October 1st, so grab your spot on the waitlist and get ready to take your podcast focused online business to the next level.